Friend, welcome to the video. It's Brando Linick here, and this is going to be an interesting conversation. You know, I got kind of a runny nose, so you're going to have to bear with me, but I say it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a direct conversation about not just how to attract investors to look at a startup plan business, to actually start a business up, but I'm also going to share with you some important principles and what I believe to be very lucrative tips and pointers to starting a business without going through a lot of stress, without going through a lot of the headaches that a lot of people have to go through when they don't know this stuff. So you're going to want to pay close attention, you're going to want to know this, and when it comes to actually getting investors to help you start up a business, how to, actually attract investors to look at a startup plan business, there's a lot of things you got to keep in mind if that's what you're looking for, because you just want to start your own business. And the first thing you really got to keep in mind is investors are looking for something that's hot, something that's trendy, and it takes a while to get to investors, alright? It's not just you call up someone and all of a sudden you're through. You got to apply, you got to wait. Typically you're talking to secretaries and assistants most of the time, and if things fall through, you can get a hold to an investor, but it can be a little bit difficult. There's processes, waiting periods. Alright, I remember when I first tried to apply to talk to an investor about my first business startup, which was over 3 years ago. It took me 6 months to actually come face-to-face in contact with this person, and it took 6 months to get on the phone before we got face-to-face with that person. So it's just something to keep in mind, things to consider. It can take a while, so it is kind of a process. It's not just you can't set up a meeting tomorrow unless it's someone who you do like a luncheon with and they so happen to be an investor in businesses, but that said, it's just something you really have to know. Alright, so I wanted to get that off the ballpark first. Second thing you have to know is investors. Not to say it's bad, I'm sure you already are aware of this, but it's good to beat it in the head twice, is they're looking at taking a chunk of your business, alright? They're looking at taking, typically, most people will go anywhere from 30% all the way up to and over 51%, so they'll take most of the equity out of your business, so they're in control and they direct the business, because it is a startup business and most of the time people don't have the experience and the know-how to build it or run it. So honestly, that's really how it goes. That's just the overview of it, and I would advise you, if you're looking at trying to attract investors to start your own business, if that's what you're looking for, I'd advise you before you consider it, just because it can take a long time and the process itself, it's just crazy. And if you're looking at it because you don't have the budget set aside of hundreds of thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands of dollars to start your own business, that's the reason why, alright, you're looking at trying to get investors to help you out to start your own business, I'd advise you, before you take that approach, if you hear me out here for just a minute, to actually look towards starting an online business model. And I won't tell you that the internet's the only way to go, but if you want to create a lucrative business in a way that works for you, not against you, in a way where you can do what you want, when you want, wherever you want, the internet is the best model you could tap into, the most profitable model you could tap into. And I say that because going back over the last 12 months, I transitioned from a traditional business to an internet business. Came across a person making ridiculous amounts of money on the internet without having any of the overhead associated with a traditional business, dealing with equipment, supplies, employees, a work setting like an office, a facility. And because they weren't going through that and they didn't deal with that, their profits, as you guessed it, were much greater, they were much higher. And because of that, it was attractive to me. I started to model and copy what this person was doing because they were traveling, working from their laptop, their computer, alright, and wherever there was internet in the world, alright, they were there, they were operating and building their business. So they're traveling and building a business at the same time. It was quite a lifestyle. So I started to model and copy what they're doing. In a period of a couple weeks after that, was able to in turn create a full-time income business from scratch, with no previous experience, without doing anything technical, working very part-time. And those are not average, not typical results. I decided not to be average. I decided not to be typical, and it wasn't some gimmick where you push a button and all of a sudden, you get results. It required work. I had to learn some things, but just like you would with getting investors to start your small business, you got to put in work, you got to learn stuff. The cool part was I didn't have to go get loans, alright, that can take 10, 20, 30 years to pay off. Alright, remember, you got to keep in mind, you have to pay off investors. You have to give them a return on their investment. Typically that's what the deal is going to be, and that can take you 6 to 10 years. And I'd advise you, before you strap that ball and chain to your leg, I know that's what you're looking for, how to attract investors, for a business plan, startup. I'd advise you, before you do that, if you're really just looking at starting a business because you want to be your own boss, you want to create leverage, true time freedom, the best thing you could do, alright, is to learn how to build a business on the internet, alright? And there's so much noise out there. There's so many trainings, tutorials when it comes to this stuff. That's why I would advise you, the big secret that, really broke me through was connecting with someone. I'd advise you to connect with someone. Connect with someone who's building a business online, who's willing to connect with you and walk you through exactly how you can do this to get the results that you want. So, my friend, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did putting it together for you. It's been fun. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And also make sure, if you do want to learn the skills to building a business on the internet, if you want to learn exactly what was shared with me from a high multiple 6, multiple 7-figure earner going back 13 months ago, what they shared with me that allowed me in 2.5 weeks to create a full-time income business working part-time on the internet. Once again, not average, not typical results. If you want to learn that and how you can do it too, make sure you check out my site. It's 123marketingtips.com. I'll put a link in the description below. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you on the beaches of the world. Take care.